In this video, we're going to really step into our power. And we're going to do that with some guided hypnosis. And first, before we start with that, I'm going to give some quick reminders. First and foremost, it's very important to remember that you have everything you need. And what does that really mean? Essentially, it means that you are everything you need to be. You have everything you need within you, all the answers, everything. You see, if you can choose to be yourself in this game, then you will have all the qualities you need to truly be yourself, to truly be in power, to be free, to have tremendous happiness. And when I say choose to be yourself, then I essentially mean that you might not be someone who is a billionaire. That might not necessarily be something that you really want to accomplish, but you are happy and you can very easily, very naturally accomplish happiness by simply just eliminating the things that are hindering you from being happy. And the same goes for having a good financial situation where you can afford the things you need. The same goes for accomplishing the things that you enjoy or find important, the things that are important for you to be free and happy and have a great life. And of course, there is more we could say about this. There is a lot to you, and you can accomplish all of those things. The things that you aren't are going to be more challenging. To be the biggest pop star in the world, that's not necessarily something that you want to do, and it's going to be challenging. So in this guided hypnosis that we're going to do now, we're going to simply recognize that you have the answers you need within you if you can allow yourself to recognize what is going on, recognize what you are worrying about, recognize what's bothering you, recognize what is hindering your happiness. Simply just recognize what is going on as you choose to sit and just be happy. That's what you're going to do. You're simply just going to sit and be happy, which is the experience that you ultimately always wanted. You just wanted to be happy. You wanted to be free. You wanted to not be weighed down by negativity in your mind, but rather have a beautiful, enjoyable life. And I suggest that you go and grab your notebook. I have one here with me also. So I'm going to take notes in regards to my shadows, my issues, things that pop up for myself. And you should do the same. Take note of anything that pops up as you sit there and choose to be happy. And then we're later going to, one by one, take a look at them and overcome them. You're going to see how simple it is, and you're going to recognize how empowering it is. And I want you to understand that you do not need to lay down to do this. You can do this on the go at any point throughout the day as you recognize something that is throwing you off a little bit. And of course, if you practice, you're going to get really good at this, and it's going to be much easier for you to do it on the go. So I want you to start first and foremost with just relaxing. Just be happy. Just have a good time. It's totally fine to not do something all the time. Well, of course, when you are just sitting and being happy, you are also doing something. But it's okay to not fiddle with your phone or watch a movie or always be entertained. You can absolutely entertain yourself with just being. And I want you to do that now. Simply just be. Just be fine here and now. And if you recognize something that pops up, something that maybe gives you low frequency emotions, something that makes you feel not so good, then I want you to be fine with it. Don't fight it, just allow it to be. And when it pops up, I want you to write it down. You can pause the video right now and go and get yourself a notebook and write down each and everything that pops up. There might be 5 things, there might be 1, there might be 10. These are your shadows. If you can resolve these things, then you're going to be able to experience a totally different dimension. It's pretty simple to understand. If you can truly just be and be happy on a very constant basis, then that's a totally different experience than being caught up in something. Sitting there and thinking about something that is annoying, or that is making you stressed, or that is simply just not the type of experience you want. You kind of need to deal with those things. They aren't necessarily just going to disappear. And now we're going to deal with them. Of course, you can pause the movie at any point. If something more pops up, you can write it down, and we are going to deal with it. Since we're going to be taking some notes, I suggest that you sit when we do this. Also, for now, sure, you're going to deal with things, but you're going to get familiar with the process. Also, remember that if you can stay on top of your game when it comes to dealing with things that are bothering you, then it's not going to stack up. You know, if you are experiencing a little bit of a hectic life, then it might bundle up with issues. It's going to affect your overall empowerment. And if you can deal with things before it gets to that point, preferably deal with things right away as they pop up, then you're going to learn to just simply keep it clean. Keep it nice and clean at all times. Ultimately, you would want to be able to scan your mind and not find anything. You simply are just experiencing contentment, happiness, peace, and a great life. So if you scan your mind right now, as you choose to sit and be happy, what pops up? Write it down and simply just let it exist. Throughout this session, I want you to breathe deep. I want you to breathe deeply and expand your back. Expand the lower ribs behind your back and all the way down through your spine. And then breathe out through your lips. Simply breathe like this now. And remember what we talked about in the beginning of this video. Everything is a choice. And you winning this game for yourself, and by the way, when I say that, I simply mean get to the highest frequency. You listen to Judy, you take her guidance, you don't go and figure everything out on your own. So yeah, when I say win the game for yourself, it means to reach the highest frequency with the guidance from Judy. And sure, learn something from these videos if you can. But what I'm saying is that everything is a choice. You winning the game is a choice. You now being able to recognize the things that are popping up and being someone who can deal with it is a choice. It is something that you can choose strongly. You can choose to know that you are someone who succeeds at that type of thing. And I want you now to recognize that it is a choice to boost your source self connection. Essentially, you're just going to sit here now, relax, breathe deeply, and just be. Just be happy. If anything pops up, you're not going to fight it, you're not going to push it away, you're not really actually even going to do the pillar spin yet. What you are going to do is to choose to be someone who can increase your source self-connection, just the neutral light in the core of your head. Just boost it. Just increase it like a muscle with your intent. Let it grow. At the same time as whatever shadow issue is existing. And you're going to know that the shadow will dissolve by itself. If you can be in your source self-connection, the shadow will dissolve by itself. This is a choice. You're choosing for the shadow to dissolve, and it might take a minute, it might take 1 second. It does not matter. We have patience. We do not care. We just know that when we flip the switch and increase the source self-connection, then things will take care of themselves. Because we have gone through the day and recognized that something popped up right now. And we recognize what it is. We recognize how it makes us feel. And that is okay. We don't fight it, we don't panic, we don't care. But we do boost our source self-connection. And you can now recognize that when you want to boost the source self-connection, the neutral light in the core of your head is expanding. It's growing and growing and growing, and increasing to the point of where it is so powerful that the shadow starts dissolving. You can see the shadow piece by piece, simply just dissolving. Now you can use the pillar spin and see how the shadow just flings out to the sides and dissolves. And you have clarity. That is a choice. When the shadow dissolves, you have your source, guidance, clarity about how you should perceive that shadow instead. The shadow have now dissolved and disappeared, and you are left with a high frequency neutrality state of being in regards to that shadow. If you haven't been used to doing it like this, then this can be somewhat a lot, but we're going to run through it again, and if you have patience with it, you're going to see that it is a very quick and a natural way of dealing with anything that pops up and disturbs you. I want you now to just sit and be. Just sit and be happy. And if anything is popping up, any shadow, then be fine with it. Now, it's a choice to increase your source self-connection, see it grow, see it increase, and see how the shadow is dissolving. You can see the pillar spin, how your source energy is cleaning away this shadow, slinging it out to the sides, how it's dissolving, and how you are left here and now simply just being happy, being fine. You recognize that that shadow was easy to overcome. It was nothing to give into. It really didn't have to be an issue at all. It was simple. And you can do this with anything that ever pops up. You don't need to go and learn about it, learn about all the types of shadows and what they stand for. It does not matter. It is a choice to naturally get the source clarity, the source knowing about what that shadow was, what it stood for, how you should perceive that instead, and you will instantly know that it is neutrality. You should perceive it with neutrality. Now again, just choose to sit and be happy. Just enjoy yourself. And the shadow that pops up, you don't do anything with. It's fine. But you choose to increase your source self-connection. See how it grows. It's increasing, becoming really strong and bright. And it is a choice to let the shadow start dissolving. And it dissolves completely. You can even run the pillar spin. Let it sling out to the sides. And it completely disappears. They're gone completely. And you are simply just sitting here being happy. There. You can listen to that section again later, but I'm going to say a couple of things. Like I have said, everything is a choice in this game. For you to complete inner alchemy, for you to be someone who is happy, it's a choice. For you to be someone who is good at shadow work, it's a choice. For you to be someone who has a great day, it's a choice. And you need to make that choice. And unless you do it, then maybe you are kinda just halfway making that choice, and you're going to not really get anywhere compared to if you make that choice. You can get there efficiently. You're kinda on a mission, and you know it. You know what you want, and you will get there. You will get there. You will get to the highest frequency if that is a choice you have made. You will be happy all the time. You will be completely capable of dealing with shadows. You will be able to clean all the shadows so that you can sit here and simply be in clarity, awake in the dream throughout your whole day. You can make the choice to not let things bundle up. Life can be a little challenging. You might suddenly be in a life situation where things suddenly becomes a little too much for you, and suddenly you have 10 shadows, and they should be dealt with. If you have made the choice to be really good at dealing with them, then you can really get back on track quickly. You can take 1 hour to clean up and remind yourself of the truth, and you are at a better place than you have ever been. This is also a choice. You can make that choice. And we have talked a lot about shadow work on this channel. You see, there are some things in this game that are really important to understand. One of them is the importance of being free. But how can you experience that freedom? Well, you need to choose to be free. And you need to choose to not give in to the things that are robbing you of that freedom. There are so many ways of dealing with a shadow. There's probably 1,000,000, maybe even 10 million. Doesn't really matter. You need to find something that works for you. And the technique that we have seen here today is worth really looking into, worth practicing. I can quickly go through a couple of keynotes that you can remind yourself of as you are learning this technique, mastering it, getting to a point to where you can do it quickly and easily at any point throughout the day. And you should take note of it. The first note would be to not fight it, to just observe. Be fine with having shadows. It is totally fine. I have shadows. I have a lot of shadows. And I have to deal with them. And I do. And when I do, I feel really good and very powerful. So, number one, just stay aware. Actually, number one is, of course, happy now. Just choose to be happy now. And then, of course, number two would be don't fight it if anything pops up. Number three would be to increase your soul self connection. And you simply do that with your intent. But before you can do that, you might have to create for yourself a vision or an idea of what that looks like. You know, it just grows, it increases. The light becomes brighter and more powerful. Remember that, and just let that happen. That is a choice. Simply choose to recognize who you are. I am not Frederick. I am Source. Source is in the core of my being. I am infinite Source. And if I can recognize that part of myself, it's in my core. It's in the core of my head, in center. You know, when you enter the silence really deeply, you will become familiar with it. You might already have a good familiarity with it. If you don't, then choose to get it. Choose to get familiar with the energy in the core of your head. And choose to learn to boost it, or to at least focus on it. To let go of your focus elsewhere, but rather focus internally on your source self connection. And the program that will run when the shadow dissolves is also a choice. It sounds like this. The source self connection is powerful, and when I am in that connection, then the shadow simply dissolves. And you can visualize that it gradually, pixel by pixel or piece by piece, starts dissolving, and then your pillar spin can come in and further completely dissolve it, sealing it out to the sides. And then the final step is happy now again. Then, of course, if you aren't really at a very good place right now, if things are a little hectic, if you are a little depressed, if you are a little unhappy, then do a cleanup. Simply sit like this and recognize what is going on and practice. Practice with the technique that we have gone through here now and do a cleanup. Just get to the point to where you are happy today, where life is good, where you like life, where you enjoy it, and continue tomorrow. Continue cleaning, clean every day. Clean to the point to where there is nothing left, where everything is clean. And focus on the things that pop up, the things that are relevant. You don't need to deal with shadows in regards to things that aren't really relevant to you, you know. Keep your focus on an enjoyable life, the things that matter. And if anything is popping up and is directly hindering you from having that experience, then you deal with it. Deal with it every day. Clean, clean, clean. And we can now do another little session. I want you to simply recognize the shadow of whichever one you have written down. I want you to sit and be happy and just recognize what that shadow feels like. Don't fight it, don't force it anywhere, just allow it to exist. There is nothing wrong with it existing. It's totally fine. And then instead of focusing on it, instead of energizing it, you're leaving it be. Leave it where it is, and rather focus on your source self connection. Choose to be in your source self connection. Don't energize the shadow, just let it be there. And as you are increasing your source self connection, or at least focusing on your source self connection, the shadow starts dissolving, completely dissolving, being flung out to the sides, and it disappears, and you are happy now again. And that feels good. That feels great. And now you can pick another one. I want you to be happy, recognize what it feels like to have that thing, that shadow existing. It's totally fine that it's there, but we choose not to energize it. We choose not to go there. We choose not to let it affect us. It is totally fine that it's there. Now recognize how your source of connection is growing, increasing brighter and brighter, and the shadow is dissolving and getting flung out to the sides, and it disappears, and you're happy now. And I would suggest that you just simply sit and enjoy yourself. Sit and be. Be in the moment. Enjoy just being. If that is what you ultimately want to accomplish, a state of being where you can be, where you're free, where you're awake in the dream, and you're enjoying yourself, then choose to experience that. And choose to recognize the importance of dealing with the things that are hindering you from being there. Choose not to give in to things. Choose to have a highest frequency approach in dealing with your shadows. That is what we have taken a look at in this video. You now know how to do it. Choose to know how to do it. It is a lot easier than you think. And of course, the reason that we've talked so much about shadow work on this channel is because I know that it can be challenging. It can be challenging to get out of the stress that a shadow might cause, to get to a place where you can think straight and successfully deal with a shadow. It's very important to really master shadow work. But you know what you wanted all along, I bet, is to just be happy and free. And when you are caught up in a shadow, when you have given into it, you are not happy and free. You're probably kinda miserable. It's not so enjoyable to sit there in a illusion, in a matrix of polarity and chaos and fighting. It's not enjoyable. It's not fun. Learn to not give into it. Don't fight it. It's totally fine that you have shadows. And if you can allow them to exist, but without giving into them, don't take them into your moment. Don't go there. Well, if you can allow yourself to do that, to simply just be and observe, allow it to exist, then you can very efficiently get through it and get back to your happy now, to your enjoyable life. And if you right now were to intend to just be happy now, can you even do it? Is there something there that is hindering you? Well, that's a shadow. Deal with it. Go ahead and deal with it now. If you have benefited from this video, kindly consider becoming a supporter. Abundance, health, and prosperity to you. Thank you so much.